In this video, I am going to be telling you how I lost 16 kg in 16 weeks and got into the shape of my life and how you can do it too. But first, if you're new here, I'm Ricky, I'm an online coach and I've been helping guys for the last 6 years get into the absolute best shape of their life without having to sacrifice everything. So if this is something you are wanting to do as well, we have got the 6-week summer shred challenge which is starting next week. There is a link in the description, so give that a little tinkle, get that clicked, get onto the challenge and drop some serious body fat over the next 6 weeks. Right, so let's get into it. So last year, I actually got married last year to the love of my life, Helen, and it was an absolutely incredible time. My training during the period leading up to the wedding was still absolutely great, not a problem. I love training, but some of my other habits when it came to nutrition and other bits kind of fell by the wayside a little bit. And to be fair, it wasn't my top priority at the time to be super lean, super conditioned, but being a transformation coach, I knew it was something I am going to have to get in order. But then a couple of days after the wedding, we headed out on our honeymoon to Mauritius. And when we got there, we found that there was a slight issue. And that slight issue was that the food was Michelin starred and the beer was pretty nice too. So did I need to have 4 courses 3 times a day? 10 or so beers every evening? Probably not, but I don't regret it and I got my money's worth. The thing was, before I went away, I'd already told myself that I'm going to be doing a photo shoot when I come back. And the reason I did this was so it's like, right, I know when I come back, I'm straight on it, I'm straight all over it, and we had everything mapped out and ready to go. Now, this was great for the first couple of weeks. Body weight started falling off really, really quick. I actually dropped near on 5 kg in the first couple of weeks. A lot of that was water weight and crap that was coming off from the honeymoon. I was feeling really good. But the thing was, I was pushing cardio that hard, I was pushing food that hard that straight away within a few weeks I became a little bit overwhelmed and things started to fall by the wayside a little bit. So at this point, that is where I spoke to my coach, and yes, coaches have coaches too, told him about the situation, and what we decided to do was take the pressure of the photo shoot off and just concentrate on making sure we're getting the fundamentals down so we can carry on losing body fat, so we can carry on getting into absolutely fantastic shape without the additional pressure. We still had timescales set because I think it is really, really important when you are going onto a diet or going onto a nutrition plan or like just going into a calorie deficit in general. It's important to make sure you have an end date for that so it doesn't overwhelm the mind. So that is exactly what we focused on. So here are the things that we did focus on during that time that did help me drop 16 kg in the 16 weeks. The first thing you have to remember when it comes to losing body fat, when it comes to losing weight, is it is calories in versus calories out, which means you have to burn more calories than you consume. And like I say from the start, we did go on a fairly aggressive calorie deficit, and this can be good because it can build momentum. And if your energy levels are still there, you drop in weight, it just builds up and builds up. So the first couple of weeks, like I say, because there was a lot of water weight, a lot of shite to come off, it did come down quite quickly. So for me personally, my calorie target was 1,970 to start, and we also had a higher day as well, so I could eat more calories on that day, and that was 2,350 calories. And like I say, in that first couple of weeks, I did actually drop 5 kg, which is a significant amount of weight. If anything, it was probably a little bit too fast, but also, like I said, it does build that momentum. Like I say, there was some overwhelm though that came involved with that, which I will touch on a little bit further when it came to the cardio and other areas of it. But also as well, because this calorie deficit was fairly aggressive, we didn't actually have to change my food for 10 weeks. We stuck to them calories for 10 weeks because body fat and weight was still continuing to go off and my energy levels in the gym were still pretty good, so the performance didn't wane too much. So we actually kept it at that for 10 weeks. There's no point just changing your calories and changing, your food input week on week for the sake of it. Do it when it is needed. Of course, there were days where it did fluctuate my weight. It went up a little bit, down a little bit. But when we were looking at the average, and that's what I want you to be doing, make sure you are checking the average out for the week rather than the day to day and then getting overly emotional what the scale's saying and then fuck it all off and then have to start again. If you work off the averages, you're going to be totally fine. So like I said, there was fluctuations, but on average, I dropped a kg a week all the way through. That's going to be the easiest way of putting it, even though, like I said, there was a big initial drop. Then, after the 10 weeks, that was when we dropped our calories again. We went down to 1,780. We did this for the next 4 weeks. And then for the last couple of weeks, we really did have to dig deep. And I was on 1,630 calories, which is a big calorie deficit for me. But like I said, at this point, I dropped around about 14 kg already, and we were really pushing. But I knew when the reverse diet was going to be starting, and it was going to be in a couple of weeks' time. So it was a case of digging deep for the last few weeks, pulling that last bit of body fat off, and then reversing out of it the correct way. And I will be doing another video down the line talking about how you reverse out of a diet, because what happens in a lot of cases is people drop a lot of body fat, but then they think, right, that's it, the diet's done, eat a lot of food, put too much weight on, and end up yo-yoing, and that's exactly how that happens. The second thing we made sure we focused on throughout this time, and it is incredibly important, is our protein and our food structure. And also throughout the process, I wanted to make sure that I kept it really, really simple. So the protein target was around about 180 grams, which is pretty much a gram per pound of body weight, which is a great starting point for most people. Now, if you do have a lot more weight to drop, if you go around to 0.8 grams, 0.75 grams per pound of body weight, that's going to be about right for you. Now, when I'm in a diet in particular, I like to keep things super simple when it comes to prepping my food. So I actually didn't change my food too often. I ate the same things most days. This made it more simple for me. It meant I didn't have to calculate my calories every single day, because I already knew what I was having based on the day before. And there was just a few things that I literally cycled through. So for me, I was having chicken and potato 3 times a day. And then in the morning, I was having whey protein, cereal, and some milk and a piece of fruit. And that's pretty much what I had throughout. And I had some extra virgin olive oil as well with the potatoes, because I banged them in the air fryer and made some lovely homemade chips. But in general, they were the kind of things that I was eating all the way throughout. I did change a couple of times, but that was the main sources, and it was easier when I was pulling the calories down, because all I would do was take away a few potatoes, so that sliding scale of the carbohydrates, and it made it so easy for me. Don't get me wrong, I did have 0 calorie sauces or very low calorie sauces and seasoning on it, because I didn't want to go insane and just eat totally dry, boring, bland food all the way through. But this is what I did. This is what worked for me. And to be honest, the people that succeed the most during a fat loss phase are the ones that can just kind of switch off to it, eat the same things. It means you can plan ahead of time. It means you can prep ahead of time. Of course, you may have social events on or anything like that, but if you can do this the majority of the time, you are going to find it easier. So I just wanted to jump in quickly now. So this channel here has only got just over 200 subscribers. YouTube is something that I've not been doing too long, but it is something I want to build up. So if you are enjoying this video, if you are getting something out of this video, please hit subscribe now, and back to the video. So from a training perspective, again, we kept things super simple, and that's what you want to be doing when it comes to lifting weights. Whether you're in a fat loss phase, whether you're in a muscle building phase, the main things you want to be focusing on is progressive overload and effort. They're the most important things to be doing. So I worked off a 5-day split, and I'm actually using that same split now, even though I've been in a mass gaining phase for the last 4 months. So it just shows. However, in this time, a 5-day split possibly could have been a little bit too much for me, but I'm one of them people, I like to get into the gym most days, more for my mental health as well. You know, it becomes part of my routine. So 5 days a week, was it optimal? Probably not, actually. I'd probably say 4 days a week. But then it comes to different, you know, the volume of work you're doing in the gym, the amount of times you're hitting a particular body part. Are you giving yourself enough time to recover? And in some cases, I probably wasn't, if I'm being totally honest. But then the benefits of that outweighed the cons of not going from a mental health standpoint. Again, just to touch on the progressive overload. So what I mean by progressive overload was the first week I started using this split, what I would do is I would go in, I would track my weights, and I would track the reps that I've done, making sure I'm pushing myself to the point where I could possibly get one more rep out if I had a gun to my head, but pushing myself extremely hard in them sets. So making sure that I'm recording the weight, recording the sets, and then the next time I came in, the goal was to either get an extra rep or an extra bit of weight. Now, As you get deeper into a diet phase, as you have less calories in your system, so you have less fuel in your system, naturally you might not be able to hit these numbers. At that point, what the goal should be is to maintain those numbers or make sure that they are as close to damn it as possible. When you do this, in line with your protein as well, that's when you're going to hold on to the muscle that you've got as you're pulling off the body fat. And if you can hold on to the muscle you've got while you're pulling the body fat off, you are actually going to look bigger because the muscle that you do have becomes revealed, which is what happened in this case. So the next thing I want to talk about a little bit is cardio and steps. So when we started this off, because I wanted to go really, really aggressive, because the goal initially was to do a photo shoot, we started off with 1,000 calories of cardio along with 11,000 steps. Now, the reason we did it with a calorie target for cardio is because it meant I could do different forms of cardio and I was actually tracking my calories rather than time. Because if you do it by time, if you do 30 minutes on a step mill, for example, you're going to burn more calories than you would doing 30 minutes steady on a static bike. So it just gave that level of consistency so we knew what we were burning. However, what we realized after a little bit of time was with the cardio, with the amount of steps, with the training I was doing, with the calorie deficit I was in, that's when it became a little bit too much for me, a little bit too fast. And we identified that fairly quickly. So what we did was we transitioned over to just doing 10,000 steps a day. So it was my 5 sessions in the gym, 10,000 steps a day, my calorie target, my protein target. We were aiming for all of them. And the thing was as well, because I was not doing additional cardio and I was just doing steps, it actually helped with my recovery, because sometimes if you do too much cardio, it can actually take away from the in-gym sessions as well. So having that 10,000 step target a day, along with my training, along with my calorie deficit, helped me get to where I got to. And if I overly pushed the cardio, I don't know if I would have got to that point, because potentially my energy could have ended up too low and we would have had to move things around. So for me, steps, calories, hitting the gym session is what worked for me. Now, I want to be real with you here, because this was not fucking easy. I did have to dig deep. Food did get low. I was hungry at times. I had to go to the gym on days where I didn't particularly feel like it. But what you've got to remember is when you set out on a fat loss phase, when you're looking to lose body fat, having that goal in mind or having that target of when this is going to end is really, really important. So I knew I just had to dig deep. And on November the 19th, I think it was, off the top of my head, that's it. That's when we re-baseline our food and start moving up. And now 4 months later, I'm eating 3,200 calories a day and I'm full all the time, really. And that's because we did this phase correctly and reversed out of it. Again, I will be doing another video talking about how you reverse diet out of a fat loss phase. So get subscribed again, just to make sure you don't miss any of them videos. But the thing is, if you don't have an end in mind, that's why people stop, start, yo-yo. Like I said, we've already mentioned it. So just going to finish off with a couple of key takeaways for you to take away this. So jot these. I was going to swear then, but changed my mind, so jot these down. First thing is accept that it is going to take effort. It is not easy dropping body fat. If it was, then everyone would do it. Everyone would be in absolutely fantastic shape. So accept it is going to be a challenge. Also as well, be organized. When it comes to your nutrition in particular, make sure you know exactly what you're going to be having, plan ahead for it, shop ahead for it, and make it as simple as possible. The third thing, tell others around you what you are doing and why it means a lot to you. Because what happens is you'll have friends that'll be like, oh, you're coming out for a beer at the weekend, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't mean you necessarily can't go out with them, but you want to make sure that they're aware that they're not going to be pressuring you into doing things that you don't want to do. Also as well, telling your partner is incredibly important, because then that way on a Friday night, they're not going to be saying to you, oh, we have a Chinese with us, because you already know that you're working on this. Tell them, at the end of this, I finish this diet in 4 weeks' time. I'm going to take you out for a big slap-up meal to thank you. And you know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you've got a goal, you've got to be working towards it. Tell the people around you, your partner wants the best for you. So don't be thinking, oh, I can't do it because, you know, I need to do this with my partner. They want the best for you. They want you to be happy. They want you to be feeling good. They want you to be feeling confident. So don't use your partner as a reason to not do this. Use it as a reason to fucking do it. And I mentioned it a few times in the video, have an end date in mind. It is incredibly important because people say, oh, I'm going on a diet, I'm going on a health kick, but they don't have an end in mind. And then the moment that they fall off, the moment that they overeat, they're like, fuck it, it's too hard, and end up having to start again. So hopefully this video was helpful to you and didn't just overwhelm the shit out of you. If it did, like I say, please subscribe. And if all of this has just blown your mind and you don't know where to start, blow your mind is probably an over-exaggeration, but if you don't know where to start with all this kind of stuff, you don't know what calories to start on, what steps to start on, what training plan to be doing, I do have a handful of one-to-one coaching spaces available, so I will put the link in description below. If you just click on that, you'll be able to arrange a call with me, a one-to-one call with me personally, and we will go over exactly how we would make that work for you. So, if you are looking to lose body fat, if you are looking to get yourself super lean, then follow the pointers in this video. And if you're ready to dive in and go absolutely balls deep, hit the link below, book a call, let's have a chat, and let's get you into the shape of your life just like I did last year. Take it easy, and I'll see you on the next one.